I stop and do nothing. Nothing happens. I'm thinking about nothing. I listen to the passing of time. This is time, familiar and intimate. We are taken by it. The rush of seconds, hours, years that hurls us towards life, then drags us towards nothingness. We inhabit time as fish live in water. Our being is being in time. Its solemn music nurtures us, opens the world to us, troubles us, frightens us, and lulls us. The universe unfolds into the future, dragged by time, and exists according to the order of time.
Rubbish.
Well, I think it's rather poetic.
Oh, Ravelli's got away with words, certainly, but he's no Time Lord.
Top authority on temporal mechanics, are we?
It's literally in the name.
Pass me another one of those ginger pops, will you?
It's up, down with you, isn't it? What peace and quiet, eh?
I'll fetch one myself then, shall I? Someone certainly got up from the wrong side of the console, didn't they? This place not doing it for you.
When did I say that?
Sand as soft as swan's down, you said. Sea like warm milk, you said. Makes you feel about 100 years younger, you said.
Yeah, I have been to Florana before, thanks.
Well, it hardly seems like you're enjoying its selling points. What's all the grumpinade of?
Hey, I'm alright. Honest, don't worry.
Look, is something bothering you?
Nancy, it's fine.
I mean, you've been acting like this for ages.
I said it's fine, I promise.
What is it?
Look, let's just forget about it.
Come on, let's just talk.
Hey, look at that view, eh?
Oh, don't change the subject.
A beautiful view indeed.
Oh, for God's sake.
Doctor, delightful to see you again too. Not interrupting, am I? What a lovely spot. The breeze just catches the scent of the perfumed flowers in that meadow over there. Don't they smell absolutely divine? Oh, and Miss Foster. How nice to meet you at last.
Charmed. I seem to be at a disadvantage. Who are you?
A nuisance. New regeneration. Nice suit. Not sure about the bowler hat, though. What is it with Time Lords and trying to blend in? You never seem to get it right.
People in glass houses, Doctor.
Time Lord? He's one of your people? Not the Master again, is it?
Just as annoying, certainly.
Chancellor Hester of Gallifrey, Miss Foster.
Oh, Chancellor now, is it? Must mean an even bigger hat.
Do excuse my interruption into what I'm sure is a very busy schedule, but I come here as a matter of urgency. Your presence is requested.
Presence?
On whose authority?
Doctor, this is a very serious matter, I assure you. These summons come at the behest of the President herself.
Romana? What's wrong?
Better to show you. I've placed the time reference codes into your TARDIS to ensure you don't miss us by a few centuries again. Now, chop chop. Time is of the essence.
Where did he go?
Back home. Which, by the sounds of it, is where we're going. No paddling after all, eh?
Well, it'll still be here when we get back. If we've got a job to do, that is.
Seems so, Nancy. The Time Lords want me back. Who am I to refuse?
Of the situation. My concerns must be noted. I am sure you understand.
Oh, they are certainly noted, High Monin. My confusion is what they are founded upon. There really is little cause for concern.
President Romana Lunda, I will not allow you to sweep aside my unease. The history of your reforms as President of Gallifrey throughout your numerous terms in office is not without fault. I assure you that I have plenty to base my worries upon.
And I assure you, the past is the past, High Monin. I stand by my sanctions both then and now. The Time War was cruel to the Temporal Powers as it was to Gallifrey itself, but now that our alliances have been recovered...
A debatable sentiment, Madam President.
We can continue to strive for what we previously sought to achieve. Inducting members of the Temporal Powers into our academy once again surely reflects our desire to maintain our once great allegiances.
And as I'm sure you will remember, this former reform led to nothing but disorder. Terrorist acts, barbarism between the races. It's a wonder that your academy is still standing.
Measures have been put in place, High Monin. Those previous mistakes and misfortunes will not happen again.
Regardless of your faith in such measures, Madam President, this is not the sole reason for my communication request.
Oh?
There have been reports. Rumors of a supposed threat facing Gallifrey's very infrastructure.
Hearsay and gossip, I'm sure.
That is not what I have been led to believe. You are denying these alleged threats, I take it?
I am simply deeming not to comment.
Very well. Then instead I shall ask for you to assure me of the safety of the Monin pupils regardless of the alleged threat. Because I warn you, Madam President, the consequences of my race being caught in the crossfire of another of Gallifrey's conflicts would be... regrettable, indeed.
Is that so, High Monin? Well, you can have my personal assurance that no harm shall ever come to our pupils. The Monins, the Sonari, the Nekistani, tell them all. While I remain president, I will defend any and all powers that reside on my planet.
Very well. We shall speak again soon, I have no doubt. Let us pray that it is in less severe circumstances. Cease transmission.
Rumours, whispers, tittle-tattle. I'll have someone regenerate for this. Mark my words.
Not looking good, is it?
An understatement. Widen the relativity map's parameters, will you?
Yes, Castellan. Wrestling preserve us.
That's nearly 10% now.
It's unthinkable. All of it just... cracking. But how?
Well, Rhan, what have you got for me?
Madame President.
Ah, Romana. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. You'll forgive me for not observing the usual customs. I'm a little preoccupied at the moment.
You know as well as I that I've never been one for all that. Oh, do get up, Cole. What are you doing? Tying your shoelaces?
Apologies, my lady.
I've just been on a rather heated call with one of our temporal allies. Not only are the Monins still concerned about my reforms, but someone has been letting slip details of our current threat. So please, shall we try for the good news first?
I admire your optimism. I'll have to get back to you on that one, though.
The bad, then?
We're doing everything in our power, but this is an incursion the likes of which we've never seen before. There's no logic or pattern to it. Data is still being reviewed, but we can't make any sense of it.
I'm maintaining the Matrix firewall as best as I can, but the web has never seen such a strain on it as this.
For a race that sees through the ties that bind time itself, we're woefully short on foresight. I should have been prepared for this. How long have we got?
Matrix predictions show, at best, another cycle, if we're lucky.
How fortuitous that we have our contingency on the way then, Madam President.
Chancellor.
Oh, enough of the bowing, Cole, please. You found him then, Hester.
Oh, to have the busy life he leads, Romana. I was thankfully able to purloin some of his precious time for our services.
And you really think he can help?
You've heard enough about the Doctor to know that he'll do everything he can, Castellan.
Doubtless the High Council will disapprove. They still see him as no more than a rogue element, an outlaw. They'll pose much opposition to his appointment.
Let them. I've dealt with enough collared bureaucrats throughout my time to know how to fend them off. Gallifrey is facing a threat that's totally irrational, completely illogical, and thoroughly unpredictable. The Doctor is exactly who we need.
Oh, he set the helmet regulator to the right as well. It's just one thing after another. Where's his sense of style? I mean, what a boring way to travel.
I did wonder why takeoff was so gentle.
Gentle? Where's the fun in that?
So, Gallifrey, home of the Time Lords. Anything I should expect going in? Fancy giving me a traveller's guide?
Bit dull, to be honest. You know the House of Commons?
Yes.
Well, that. But with bigger collars, and robes, and with lots of petty squabbling and arguments. Actually, come to think of it, it's no different.
Come on, we're not having this again.
Having what?
You, using all the jokey comments to push things aside.
I do not! Anyway, I think going home is enough to make anyone push things aside. Well, I suppose everyone feels the same. No place we'd rather be and the place we'd rather not be. Know what I mean?
Well, there's certainly a reason we all leave in the end. But there must be something to love about it.
Ah, that burnt orange sky. Those trees. Snow-capped mountains.
Makes me wonder why you left.
Ah, not important.
I don't understand you, Doctor. One minute you're reminiscing about a beautiful sky. The next you're shrugging it all off. It's like there's so much you'd rather I didn't know. We didn't used to be like this. Maybe we always have been and it's just taken me this long to see it.
Where's all this come from, Nancy? I mean, after all this, after all we've been through...
Gosh, you've shown me amazing things. Planet Hollywood, the Great Plains, the world where the skies move like waves in the ocean, but you still say nothing. All that talk and nothing truly said. All the times when you kept things from me and I could have helped. Amelia, the Cybermen, doing as I was told because I thought trusting you was the right thing to do.
I'm keeping you safe. That's all I've ever wanted.
So you keep saying. Sometimes I struggle to grasp why. I mean, we might travel well together, but beyond that... I don't know, I just think things could be a bit more honest between us.
Look, if you want honesty, Nancy, then listen to this. If the Time Lords want me back, if they're asking for my help, much as I hate to admit it, it's serious. Okay, and I really mean it this time. This isn't Kansas, it isn't even the Cybermen. Gallifrey is big.
And yet I'm still not going anywhere. When are you going to understand that? We're supposed to be a team. More than just fellow travellers, but friends. That's all I want. For us to have a reason to trust each other.
I do trust you.
I never said you didn't. Anyway, home it is.
Yes. Into battle.
Synoptic alert. Authorized Type 40 capsule entry imminent. Chancellor regards. Stand to attention on Synoptic.
To attention everyone, that's it, look lively! Present arms!
What a welcome, eh?
What?
I said, what a welcome. Oh.
Welcome back to Gallifrey, sir.
Thank you, Commander.
Quite the temple, this place.
If you're into that sort of thing.
Welcome to the Panopticon, Miss Foster.
Thrilled to be here. And you chaps with the big guns are...
Chancellor regard. Standard procedure when a TARDIS lands. Especially with an ex-president on board.
Ex-what?
Don't worry, I'll explain later.
Now there's an untruth if ever I've heard one. Hello, Doctor.
Romana.
Nice of you to pop by again. I'm always asking you to drop in when you're around this constellation, but I never thought you'd actually take me up on it.
No, we're not doing that. Flippant comments are off the table. I am banning all flippancy.
He's in a mood. Just grumpy about coming home, apparently.
Aren't we all, Nancy?
You know who I am? How does everyone know who I am? Did I miss a memo?
Time Lords, Nancy. They see you when you're sleeping. They know when you're awake.
Well, if that isn't flippancy.
No sense of privacy.
Now come on, Doctor. If you're going to give me the cold shoulder, I'll have no issues doing the same for you. That'll be all, Commander. Thank you.
Milady?
Follow me, Doctor.
Lead the way. Madam President.
Awfully tetchy, this one, isn't he?
I used to think I had him in better check than this.
Ah, now there's a challenge I'll gladly accept.
Things seem to have stabilized. The firewall looks to be holding off the temporal disturbance for now. Can't say for how long, though.
Good work. Keep monitoring it.
Yes, I see. Thank you for informing me, Commander. Well, we await his arrival with great anticipation. Oh, no resoluteness, that Commander Cavrin. That's his problem. His standards have been slipping for years, honestly. To replace a long line of Arcadian commanders with a Gallifreyan of the Dromean house? Oh.
The President had cause to. Of that we can always be certain. Her decrees and reforms might be radical, but she always has good reason.
Oh, I'm sure you're right, Castellan. I'm sure you're right. There's still something to be said for going too far, however. Straying from tradition and the like. You take my meaning?
Not more of this nonsense, Hester. We've talked so many times over this.
He has a point, Castellan. Don't you think it's odd?
See, Chancellor? You've even got the monitors hooked on your drivel.
Well, what about her reinstatement of the Temporal Powers at the Academy? It's a rabble, Castellan. History may as well be thrown away. Our society has lost all that made it great.
For the sake of progress, we must acknowledge the past, yes, but Gallifrey has no hope of continuing without change. We can't simply uphold what came before.
Food for thought either way, Castellan.
Always a pleasure discussing politics with you.
Ah, Hester. Fancy seeing you again so soon.
How impressive to see you arrive on time for once, Doctor. Perhaps I should pilot your TARDIS more often.
Careful, rile him up any more and I think he'll regenerate.
Don't put it past me.
Doctor, Castellan Rhan and his new assistant monitor Col. Still no good news, Castellan.
Things have steadied for the moment. We're closely monitoring the map for any fluctuations.
Oh, look at that. Not boring, very much not boring. A relativity map.
Looks like the thing which showed us Amelia's alternate timelines.
Top marks. The principle's very much the same. What's feeding it? The Matrix?
That's right, Doctor. We're using it to tune into our current time stream and assess the extent of the damage.
Damage?
Show him.
Ah.
Bad?
Very.
Right. And if I might trouble somebody for an explanation for the non-Time Lords amongst us.
The web of time is under threat, Miss Foster.
To put it mildly, time is splintering. Alternate timelines and realities cracking and threatening to spill into the flow of linear time. Minor as of now, but worsening with every span.
Of its own accord.
No, it's more than that. Damage to the timelines is not an easy thing, otherwise we'd be at it all the time, so to speak. No, this isn't an anomaly or a petty accident by some mad scientist in a distant galaxy. The web isn't being disrupted, is it?
Correct. From what we can tell, it's being unravelled.
The constraints of time are being loosened, just enough for it to run free.
You're talking as if time's contained in some man-made construct.
In a way, it is.
It's like we're reading, Nancy. We inhabit time just as fish live in water. It's a constant stream with only one destination. But it wasn't always like that.
In the dark times, in the days when the universe obeyed no laws of physics, the founder of our society, Rassilon, saw fit to take time and anchor it. Temporal threads woven together, timelines confined to separate realities. He anchored the space-time vortex with the Eye of Harmony and created the web of time, with Gallifrey at its centre.
And now that web is snapping. Because there's something. Something breaking through the boundaries of time itself.
This really isn't how I'd see my first day going.
Lexa said about this. Remember, she warned you.
Like something was bleeding through into our reality, beaming into her mind. His time is the end of time, and his moment, time's undoing.
The nursery rhyme of Zagreus.
Who knows? I mean, maybe there was something in it after all.
What do you think, Doctor? The time stream is splintering. We can barely hold it together.
And the temporal powers are already getting wind. They might not know the nature of the threat, but they've secured intel on the danger we're in, and the threat it might pose to their people.
So, Doctor, what do you suggest?
Right. Well. No pressure. Castellan, where's this force even coming from? Got a fix?
We haven't been able to get much. Our instruments don't even recognise it as any form of known matter.
But from what we've been able to surmise, it's emanating from a plane of existence forbidden since the Dark Times.
I get the feeling that these dark times aren't all too pleasant.
So what, that's it? Something totally unrecognisable, potentially originating from a place untouched since the birth of Time Lord Society?
Not quite.
There's been fragments.
Interpretations, derived from what little readings we've obtained.
Mostly a jumble of nonsensical figures. But there was also a word. Just one.
Asinta.
Asinta?
Ring any bells?
Never heard of it.
We consulted the Matrix, but that led nowhere. The sum total of all Time Lord experience and no mention of the word whatsoever.
Our technicians have been trying to decipher some meaning in it, but it's been proving to be a blind alley.
Asinta. Weird. There's something at the back of my mind, something in the subconscious. Deja vu. Asinta. I think we've been looking at it the wrong way. Asinta. It's more than a cipher or an element. It's a name.
It did cross my mind, Doctor. But there's no record of it in the Matrix at all. Asinta is meaningless.
Oh, listen to you all. Computers and codes. You're smarter than this, surely. This matrix might well be the collective knowledge of your entire race, but surely, like any bit of kit, it's valuable.
Oh, really? Then please, Miss Foster, do enlighten us.
A computer can be broken. Memories can be forgotten. But if there's anything travelling with this one's taught me, it's that you're certain to find the answers in one place. Books.
Of course.
Too busy looking at your webs and time streams that you never stop to look at the blinking obvious. Don't tell me that in this grand city of yours there isn't a library, all dusty books and endless shelves.
Oh, she's very good. There's secrets that need unlocking here, something hidden from us from the very birth of our society. And Nancy's pinpointed exactly how we're going to find it.
Excellent work, Nancy. We'll consult the archives.
I shall inform the High Council of Developments, Madam President. Doubtless they will want to hear from you soon, though. Cole, continue monitoring the relativity map. You know what to do.
Of course, Chancellor.
Come on. We haven't got much time. Literally. Doctor?
Right behind you.
This is big, isn't it? I mean, you were right, this is another scale entirely. Evil from the dawn of time and all that.
Yeah, well, let's hope we won't have to consider any of that. The spark's been lit, but I won't let it catch light.
Been planning that metaphor for a while, have you?
Oh, every morning in the mirror.
Well, come on then. Let's go before you have time to come up with another.
About that.
What is it?
I think it would be best if you stayed here.
Oh, not this again. We've been through this. I told you that you can't.
Nancy, I don't know what we'll uncover. I don't know what lies ahead.
And is that the truth? Or another lie? Fine, go.
Nancy.
I can't believe this. All this time I've always chosen to stay by your side no matter the dangers. Certain that it meant something to you. So when are you going to let me in, Doctor? Have I not earned that? Because I don't... Maybe I can't do this anymore. Maybe there isn't any point.
I'm sorry.
Doctor? After all this...
Everything all right?
Fine.
You seem
What?
tense.
The entirety of our linear universe, the very fabric of past, present and future, is on the brink of being consumed by an unknown force from a hidden vector of space. I think I'm allowed at least a smidge of rigidity.
How interesting to see such a side of you as this, Doctor. Channeling the general in you once again. Desperate times and all that.
For your sake, Hester, let's be grateful that those days are long since gone. It's not a war footing, it's not a call to arms, I'm just focused on the task in hand.
As are we all. If you'll excuse me, duty calls. When can I expect your presence, my lady?
Oh, just stall them as much as you can. I'll be there once I'm certain that we've got something to address them with.
As you wish, Madam President.
Why do you bother with him, Romana?
A strong voice on the council. Even if he is opposing me most of the time. He's risen up the ranks quicker than I'd hoped. But I must confess that it can take having people like him around the table in order to prove why change is so necessary. Anyway, it always does well to, what was the phrase? Keep your friends close.
And your enemies closer.
Taking it all in, are you? The relativity map.
Oh, yes, I suppose.
Sort of beautiful, isn't it? I mean, terrifying given the circumstances. The timeline being on the precipice of obliteration and all that, but, well, beautiful, all the same. Sorry, rattling on to do that sometimes. Not really what your mind's on at the moment, I imagine. He's looking out for you, you know. The doctor, I mean. I'm sure he only wants what's best for you.
I don't think I want to talk about it.
Right.
It just seems like I've always been kept in the dark and I'm only beginning to realise it now. In a way... No, that's unfair.
Go on.
I don't think I know him at all. Maybe I've never asked the right questions, or maybe he just doesn't want to tell me the answers. Sorry. That's me saying I don't want to talk about it, and here I am blurting it all out. What was your name again?
Cole, Miss Foster.
Oh, just Nancy's fine, thanks. And yes, you were right, Cole. It is quite beautiful, this thing. All the threads streaming onwards alongside one another. Almost like pathways.
Timelines, set on their proper course. And right now, breaking free. It's a restless thing, time. The ties that bind it have constricted it for so long since Castellan imposed his great will upon it all. But when you try and change such a force of nature, you can't expect it not to demand its freedom.
So this map is showing us timelines. Can it be used to see anything specific?
Well, it's linked to the Matrix. So, in theory, you can view a projection of any... Now, Nancy, before you ask anything of me...
Well, when one's presented with such an opportunity as this, can you blame me?
To view such things, it's out of the question.
Curiosity, that's all. Nothing malicious, no big plan or scheme. It's just... While travelling with the Doctor, we're in such a state of fluidity. I've always questioned where it might all be leading. Do I ever go home? Do I stay travelling forever?
You do know what you're asking of me, don't you? I mean, these are details about your personal future.
Look, I understand. But for once, I'm making this choice for myself. I'm sorry, Cole, but I won't have someone tell me otherwise. Not this time.
Dismissed after my first day on the job. My parents will be so proud. Oh, what's the use? Come on, then. Anyway, at the end of the day, what harm's a little peeking going to do,
The Archives. A repository of all the recorded knowledge and wisdom of a race of omnipotent beings, the lords of time itself. And it looks like the top floor of an office block in Swindon. Lick of colour wouldn't have done any harm, surely.
It's a little archaic, this, isn't it? Going back to books, files, records, scruffy handwritten notes.
Well, it's one aspect of our past I'm keen to preserve. You never know when the Matrix might fail us again. And besides, nothing beats a good book.
Over here. This should do a system-wide search of the archive.
Right, a Cinta. Let's give it a try.
Surprise, surprise. Not even any restricted documents coming up.
Right, well, we'll start with any mention of the Dark Times then. It's a long shot, but it'll give us some pointers.
I'll set a search going now.
Doctor, a word?
Impressive to have kept all this from being chucked. I suppose it's tradition, though, like you say.
Listen, we must be quick. The High Council will be expecting this briefing imminently. Take this.
A time ring?
I want you to keep hold of it. In a situation like this, I've been sure to take all sorts of precautions. I've even made sure the Great Key is safely under my protection. I certainly couldn't trust the Chancellor.
What?
That's not important right now. The point is, I'm trying to cover all possible outcomes. So take the time ring. Because I need you to have means to get off Gallifrey when it comes to it.
Romana, you can't expect me to just run away. I'm not doing that. It's not up for discussion.
You'd be doing the same for Nancy, wouldn't you? I imagine if she argued back, you wouldn't take no for an answer. Anyway, as much as I hate to admit it, and please don't let it inflate your ego, you're the best hope we've got. And you're the only one I can trust.
I'm glad you think so. All right, I'll take it, but it's only a last resort. I want you to remember that.
Castellan, I'm off to address the High Council. Hopefully I can quell what will already be an overwhelming opposition to my actions. Inform me the moment you find anything.
Madam President.
How's it looking then? Found anything?
Oh, a few bits here and there. Just got to narrow down these 1,789 entries.
Don't worry, 1,789 is my lucky number. Let's start with the earliest stuff and work up from there.
Works for me.
Ah, my lady, you're here. Please stand for the Madam President.
Thank you, Chancellor. Please be seated. Members of the High Council, firstly, thank you for gathering here under this rather pressing state of affairs. I had hoped that my new term in office would not see us face a threat such as this, but face it we shall. I understand that you will all be anxious to hear of recent developments, but rest assured we have the entire corps of our technicians monitoring and stabilising the threat for the time being. It is my thinking that with proper...
Madam President, what about the tale of the Doctor's involvement? Surely that no-good renegade isn't really being entrusted with the safety of Gallifrey once again.
Kindly refrain from interrupting the President's statements, Councillor Val. Although it must be said, many share such concerns about the Doctor's intervention, my lady.
My trust in the Doctor has never failed me, Chancellor. And you would do well to trust in your President also. It is my judgment that the Doctor's involvement is vital in preventing this threat.
But to make such a ruling without consulting the High Council is, forgive me, my lady, most imprudent.
In a time of crisis, one must make these difficult decisions. Should you ever hold such a position, Val, you would realise as much. A scenario of this scale is not unprecedented, my lords, but the Doctor proved vital in quelling such disasters in our past, and I trust him once more to do so again. With the Temporal Powers growing restless in light of their increased involvement in our society...
An edict of your own, Madam President?
More than restless, my lady. I've received word from Commander Cavrin that the Tsunari and Nekistani are currently in Gallifrey's orbit.
Then it is all the more vital that we impede this threat, Val. But until I have solid answers, I cannot inform the powers of the situation. Rest assured, however, the Doctor will soon have information for us. In the meantime, all I ask is that you have faith. Go to your chapters, reassure them of their safety. We will stop this threat. Gallifrey can be assured of that.
Bold words, my lady.
I only hope they'll believe me.
Oh, their chapters will be cheering with delight in no time, I'm sure.
My goodness. Trafalgar Square.
Oi, gorgeous. Give us a twirl. Let's have a dance.
I would if I knew what all the fuss was about.
Hey, where you been living?
What's everyone celebrating?
How much have you had? Oi, Tom, over here. This bird's forgot what an ale and Arnie's all about.
Hold on a moment, wait.
Oi, you're up for that dance after all.
What year is it?
1945. It's VE Day, love.
VE Day?
Victory over the Nazis. Bloody war's over. We won.
It's over.
Come here, give us a kiss.
Oh, quite enough of that, thank you.
Oh.
The end of the war. So this is it. This is where it all leads.
Your future, Nancy.
Where did you spring from?
Within the Matrix, anything is possible. So, what do you think?
All this. This is a projection of what's to come, my future. This is what's waiting for me. I go home, the war's over, and then what?
Would that it was so simple, eh?
What do you mean? What's happening? Cole, Whoa! Where on earth? St. Paul's. St. Paul's Cathedral, it must be. I recognise the dome from when I first came here, but why would... What's going on?
Look, Nancy. Look, and you'll see.
What, over here? It's a memorial. A list of the dead, commemorating those who never came home. And there's someone standing by it. Hello?
Hello, Nancy.
Mother?
Nope, nothing. Not much left to go through, and none of it's been useful so far. A few myths and legends, but nothing substantial. No mention of a Sinter anywhere. Anything your end?
Much the same, really. Just these academic papers to go through now.
Oh.
What is it?
Someone has folded down the corners in this one. Now there's the act of a true villain, if I ever saw one.
And lo, we finally have a breakthrough. Are you always this frivolous in times like these, Doctor?
You always this sarcastic in times like these, Castellan?
Sorry.
Don't be.
It's just easier to cope, I suppose. Things are so extreme that I don't want to contemplate what it could mean for everyone. It's times like these you start to think about those you truly care about.
Got someone special waiting back home then, eh?
Oh yes, and she's a beautiful thing. We just sent her off to the academy. She was the brightest little Time Talk growing up. My husband always knew she'd make a Time Lord. We're so proud of her, you've no idea. It'd ruin me if all that was put to an end.
It won't come to that. All my life, your daughter will keep being as brilliant as she's always been. What's her name?
Stella.
Stella. Lovely name, that. There's got to be something here. There just has to be. Hold on. What's this?
What is it this time? Someone scribbled in the margins?
One of those papers by a tutor at the academy, no less. An Irving Braxiatel, the old rogue.
Braxiatel? Isn't he...
Utterly devious and eternally pontificating? Yes. He never mentioned this. Seems like this paper was abandoned. Left half written. Or maybe someone stopped it from being published. Who knows? Either way, it found itself here.
Anything useful?
Dark times and desperate measures, our great history and... Gosh, she didn't half go on. The title's almost half the paper. Let's see. Carrion Knights, Cthulhu, Minions, blah 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 blah. Before there was any such thing as history, blah blah blah. Laws of time and reality do not apply. The anchoring of the thread is an occasion which is well documented. Any opposition to this event, less so. It is unsurprising that Rassilon would see fit to disregard any evidence of those who resisted his creation of the web of time. Did such defiance exist? Undoubtedly. Alas, we shall never truly know the extent. Well, that's helpful. Hold on, though. To conclude, the true history of the dark times shall only be known by a privileged few, and by those who seek to look deeper in search of it.
Well, you got one thing right. You can pontificate for Gallifrey. Still no mention of a Sinter at all.
But there's more to it than that. Because he's right. We're looking for a force that seeks to tear down Rassilon's web. Of course he'd have removed any reference to that. All we've got here in the archives is edited highlights, the censored chronicles of Gallifrey, just like Brack said. But for those who seek to look deeper in search of it...
You're not suggesting...
Oh yes. The Black Scrolls.
But they were destroyed.
Oh, Rhan, don't be like that. Even Rassilon photocopied his work.
Well, if you're right, where would they be? After that incident with Castellan Jericho, any further mention of them was banned.
Don't worry. Luckily, we've got an ex-president to hand.
Who?
Me.
Oh, for Rassilon's sake.
We're going deeper, literally. I hope you don't mind your robes getting dusty, Castellan. We're going down to the vaults.
Mother, I don't believe it.
And where the devil have you been?
It's so good to see you. It feels like forever. Well, say something. Mum, please.
Where have you been, my darling?
It's hard to explain.
4 years and you never came home. My girl lost on the battlefield and me with nothing more than a piece of paper to show for it.
I didn't come home. Ever. But what about that Christmas? The doctor brought me back. We did come back. Didn't we?
Of course, you silly thing. 2 years ago you were back for Christmas. Don't you remember?
Of course I do. Are you sure you do?
You were back every Christmas. My little Nancy. Couldn't keep you away. I kept saying to you, are you sure there's a war on, my dear? Because it's almost as if you were here every Sunday. And now you're here for good. Here to stay. No more of that doctor. You're home.
I'm so confused.
But how can you be here, Nancy? You died.
What?
They told me. It was horrible. Killed driving that awful ambulance around no man's land. My poor girl. Broken. Left for dead with all the soldiers' bodies.
You're scaring me now, please.
You're dead! You died!
Stop it! Stop it, please!
Dead Nancy! Dead Nancy!
What a confusing life, Nancy. Alive, missing, and dead.
How is that possible?
And all because you wanted to help people? Look what it did to your hapless mother. Didn't help her in the end, did you? Except, you didn't just volunteer to help people, no. Because there was someone you were looking for, wasn't there?
Stop. Please. Stop.
He was out there too. My baby boy!
Stop!
Tell me, what was his name?
Robert.
That's it. Sounds like the doctor wasn't the only one keeping secrets, was he? Your lost brother. Too young to go to war, but away he went.
I couldn't find him.
My poor baby Robert. You never found him. Did you, Nancy? You never found him! I always knew you'd be a disappointment. Just like your father. Always running from your responsibilities. Coward.
Mum.
Just another piece of paper. Missing in action. Missing in action. And I'm left alone.
Please.
Stupid girl. Stupid Nancy.
The girl lost in time.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's also complicated.
Cole, it's a mess.
But if you'd come back,
I should have.
if you'd done what you should have,
None of this would have happened. Why did I stay with that man?
life without the doctor.
It would have been so much less complicated. There must be some way to fix this. Cole, please!
Well, Nancy. Funny you should say that.
while since I found myself down here. Even Barusa couldn't find his way into these vaults when I was skiving my temporal mechanics exam.
I didn't even know it existed until I got promoted. Imagine a whole series of tunnels beneath the capital, and the population are none the wiser.
All sorts down here, access points to the Matrix, vital power couplings, and if I'm right, just about here, a repository. The repository of Rassilon, they'll have called it.
And being president is what it takes to be told about all this.
Well, long story. There.
The Black Scrolls.
Secret diary of a Time Lord. Lots of dirty secrets in here. Cinta must be referenced in these somewhere. Cinta. Still in the back of my mind. Why does that name ring a bell? Now let's have a look. Well.
You found it?
Oh, more than that. A passage written in Rassilon's very own hand. And in the final days of the dark times, before the anchoring of the thread, when the Eye of Harmony was still but a star, there were those who did oppose my will.
The Ravagers, the Vesht, the Solitract, all imprisoned and banished with ease. But there was one who presented the greatest threat to my noble quest. One who sought an end to my desires for a rational universe of order without flux. She wished time to run free, not restricted by my web. Her name was Asinta. And so, when her threat became too great, I did pit my armies against my rival. The battle was long, but the might of Rassilon prevailed once more, and Asinta was banished, trapped in a place of no time where no being would ever look. And so it came to pass that the web was devised, and all mention of my rival expunged from the memories of my race to prevent any such resistance in the future I had forged. And through the tides of time, Asinta was forgotten. But I worry for my children of time, for whispers remained. Fragments of possibilities, lost timelines seeped into the consciousness of my Time Lords. I hoped that these hushed echoes should never come to pass, but still they continued. And those whispers had but one name. That name was Liberty.
It's like this, Nancy. You see, I'm one of many who believe that things like this can be changed, should be changed. But time is not allowed that propensity. Time is fettered, bound by a man whose ego blotted out the respect deserved by such a force of nature. Because it shouldn't be like this, Nancy. You don't trap the animal and keep it in captivity. It should be free. Free to do as it desires. And there are those of us who are willing to do what must be done to change that.
Are you serious? You want to free time?
Exactly! Not just from Gallifrey's clutches, but from everyone's. A universe as it was in the dark times. When no laws existed, just as it was meant to be.
But is that right? I mean, the universe was made rational for a reason, surely.
Oh, but think about it, Nancy. What if you have the power to choose the perfect timeline? One without any complications. One with your mother. One where your brother never left. Where the war never even began. Wouldn't that be better? So liberating.
I could make things right, you mean?
We all could.
Everything would make sense again.
Of course it would. And you can help us. You can help us bring about this natural universe. You can free time.
I could.
All you have to do is agree. Open yourself to us. Agree to release time. What's it to be, Nancy?
Yes. I'll do it.
You're sure?
Yes, Cole. I agree.
It's unthinkable. Obscene. The idea that such a threat existed.
Oh, there were all sorts like that in the Dark Times, Rhan.
But to erase all knowledge from the race memory of the Time Lords, it's madness. Because look at us now. No recollection of her even existing, let alone what she actually is.
And what a being. Because the mere prospect of Liberty's return is already ruffling the web's feathers. But a form such as hers that needed all the armies of Gallifrey to defeat her, she'd be tearing through existence if she came back in force. So she can't. And all this time's passed since the Dark Ages, and she's not been able to do anything. So, there's another means by which she can return.
Well, what then? Computation? Invading our systems and breaking them down as some sort of virus? She's certainly already having that sort of effect.
No, this is a being with no sense of temporality. To utilise any of Rassilon's imposed structure physically wouldn't be possible, especially after being stranded outside of ordered time for so long.
Possession, then?
Impossible. I mean, she couldn't use a Time Lord. If you're desperate for time to be released from its cage, inhabiting one of our people would be like occupying the zookeeper. Another species, though.
One of the Temporal Powers?
Still temporal. It'd have to be a race with no natural time sensitivity. A genus lacking the ability to perceive or influence the flow of time. Someone... human. Oh.
Doctor? What is it? What's happening?
Oh God. What on earth? What's happening?
Isn't it beautiful? Masses of potentials, vines of maybes, loose threads of alternatives, all converging on you. A vessel for her return.
What have I done?
Oh, Nancy, you agreed. That's what you've done. And now you're ours. She can never be restored to this universe through one of us. The Cult of Liberation had to find a suitable host. A human. You, Nancy Foster. At last, Liberty awakes! She will have her retribution. Time shall be freed. Gallifrey will fall at her hand, and in its death throes, the universe will be as it was.
No, stop!
Goodbye, Nancy. You shall not be missed. Come, Liberty! Time is yours!
Out of the way! Get out of my way! Move!
Doctor,
What on Gallifrey is...
what the hell do you think you're doing?
Would you care to explain what all this reckless commotion is in aid of?
Romana!
Castellan?
I've got to get to the map room.
Doctor, just calm down. If Liberty is coming back to our universe, then we've got to have a plan.
Liberty?
Just let me through. We've not got any time to...
Ah, now that's far enough, Doctor.
Oh, just stop it, Hester. Let go.
I don't think so. Any further and things will get rather messy.
Hester!
Chancellor, what in Rassilon's name do you think you're doing?
Silence! Now, one more move, Doctor, and the Citadel walls will be splattered with Prydonian scarlet.
Hester, I am warning you.
No, Romana, I'm warning you. You have no idea what you're dealing with.
But that's...
The transduction barrier.
It's been breached. What have you done? We'll be defenseless.
Gallifrey is open, and the Temporal Powers shan't be best pleased.
Madam President, the transduction barrier has failed. The Temporal Powers are demanding a response. The Sonari and Nekistani are threatening to force entry. What are your orders? What do we do?
This is it.
Madam President, what do we do?
The fall of the Time Lords has begun. Ah, at last, liberation.
It worked. Surely it worked. My liberty? Is it done?
Yes. I have fallen once again. This universe is mine.
Is the body worthy of your greatness?
An amusing configuration. What fun I'll have with it.
To have played a part in your resurrection is simply an honor, my liberation.
Yes. Your name?
Costantros of the House of Catherian, your humble servant.
And how well you've done.
Thank you.
Such a noble adherent deserves a reward, does he not?
I seek no prize. Your return is payment enough.
Oh, you are sweet. But my acolyte, you are too modest. You are worthy of much more than that. You have done great work. The universe shall be unbound from Rassilon's shackles, his chains falling from the prison he has imposed. At last, time will be released. And now, I release you.
Liberty. Thank you.
Now, we can begin.
You have been listening to Doctor Who Across the Universe, Casualty. The Doctor was played by Miles Taylor, with IZZIE Walton as Nancy Foster and Liberty. Romana, Izzy West. Chancellor Hester, Simon Allison. Castellan Rhan, Fraser Kelly. Monitor Cole, Harper CAMLIN. Commander Cavrin, Josh Carr. Mary Foster, Andrea Richardson. Councillor Val, Austin Nebbia. Harry, Aidan O'Connor. Haimonen, Miles Taylor. Rassilon, James Belts. Sound design and editing, Miles Taylor. Cover art, Caroline Tankersley. Music composer, Sonny King. Writer, Miles Taylor. Script editor, Angus Michael. Theme tune, Sonny King. Produced by Miles Taylor for Tailored Vision Productions.